Yeah, I'm back with another little short video. I'm just for the take Sammy to school once again about this money situation. Just update her about this money situation. So it's ridiculous, to tell you the truth. So to make it real quick, because it's pretty simple. It was all when I said the 34 billion. That's old now. See what I'm saying? That 34 billion was a long time ago at this point. It's more than 34 billion. So I would say in July it'd be 42 billion. 42 billion. So I don't know the exact month or something like that, but somewhere around the summertime. That'll be 5 years. Somewhere around the summertime is 5 years. That's 42 billion. So, because that's when I was doing the NBA draft. That's why I said the summertime. Because both NBA drafts was in the summertime. I think they was like June and July or something like that. So yeah, around the summertime is when, that's when I was counting the years, as far as a year or whatever. I wouldn't go, so, because I ain't really started my website to like the beginning of I ain't started my website at the beginning of the year. I started my website, I first really started putting stuff on my website around like the summertime when I went to Los Angeles. So that was 2018. So now we're in 2023. That's 5 years. See what I'm saying? 42 billion. And then look, Sammy, I'm taking you to school about this money situation. When I say 42 billion, it's where, when I say I'm sure about the 42 billion, I mean I'm sure it's more than 42 billion. So you can't even try to argue it, because I'm sure it's more than 42 billion. See what I'm saying? I'm that sure that it's 42 billion that I'm sure. Well, let me just go back to the 34 billion. We don't need to talk about 42 billion right now. Let's just go back to the 34 billion. Because I don't even need to, go that far. I'm just saying, I was just letting her know in a few months it'll be 42 billion. But I don't need to say 42 billion. Let's just go back to the 34 billion. The 34 billion. I'm that sure that it's 34 billion to where I'm sure it's more than 34 billion. See what I'm saying? So when I say 34 billion, I'm saying it like I'm that sure where you can't like try to argue it, because I'm sure it's more than 34 billion. See what I'm saying? When I say 34 billion, that was just with the women. See, so that show that it's more than 34 billion. When I said 34 billion, that was just with the women. See what I'm saying? So it's like nothing to wonder about, because if I did want to count the men, I would just say half of the men. See what I'm saying? That way I wouldn't have to wonder who saw it and who didn't. I could just say half of the men. I don't have to wonder if half of the men know about that, saw that stuff on your website. I don't have to wonder about that, because they might didn't go to your website, but it came from your website. I don't have to wonder if half of the men seen that stuff. See what I'm saying? I have to wonder if all of them saw it, but I don't have to wonder if half of them saw it. So if I just had half of the men and half of the women, then it's still 34 billion. So either way I do it, it's 34 billion. See what I'm saying? I could say all the women, or I could just say half of the men and half of the women. I don't have to wonder if half of the women know who I am and seen that stuff on my website. I don't have to wonder if half of the men. So, so it's pretty. So the money is that simple. 34 billion. And when I say I'm sure it's 34 billion, I mean I'm sure it's more than 34 billion in two different ways, because it's almost 5 years now. I'm sure it's more than 34 billion in two different ways. One way is it's almost 5 years. So I'm saying it was 34 billion at 4 years, and it's almost 5 years. So that's one way I'm sure that it's 34 billion. The other way is I didn't even count the men. I just counted the women. See what I'm saying? So, you know, like I said, I just want to, throw it out there about that money stuff again, because, I just want to throw it out there about that money stuff again, because, dude got the nerve to tell me where your Lamborghini at, and you look dirty. You know what I'm saying? Now the police was outside. The police was parked outside. I saw the police at the front. I mean, like, they weren't at the front, but I saw the police in the back of the parking lot. So, why are you telling me all this shit? I'm seeing the police I'm seeing the police at the end of the parking lot. So, so I was just like, so I just was like, whatever. So then he said something about the Lamborghini or some shit. He said something about where your Lamborghini at. I'm like, bruh, this dude realized how much money I done made from a website. It would be like telling, I don't know if these people let it sink in yet, that you really is like Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know why they refuse to let that sink in. Maybe, I don't know if they let it sink in or something. Because for him to be telling me where your Lamborghini at, it's almost like he haven't let it sink in that I'm like Mark Zuckerberg. You see what I'm saying? What is a Lamborghini to me? 34 billion. What is a Lamborghini to a billionaire? Like, I'm kind of already past that Lamborghini stuff. I probably will still buy one, but I'm kind of already past that Lamborghini level. I wouldn't really be bragging about a Lamborghini at this point. Do you see Mark Zuckerberg? See what I'm saying? I'm really on that level. I'm really on Zuckerberg level now. When I was on that level, they didn't want to see that. They didn't want to see that. When I was on that level, they didn't tell me nothing. They kept everything behind the back. When I was on that level, when I was on that Lamborghini level, you know what I'm saying? I'm on Zuckerberg level now. I'm on billionaire status now. Like obvious billionaire. So he need to let people like that need to let that sink in. So you know what I'm saying? Like, no, seriously though, I'm not exaggerating. What is a Lamborghini to somebody who made $34 billion? You know what I'm saying? Right, Sammy? Just let that sink in. What is a Lamborghini to somebody who made $34 billion? Well, you can't argue that when I say $34 billion. I mean, it's about to be $42 billion in the summertime. And when I say you can't argue it, I'm saying $34 billion just with the women. Just with the women. And if you're wondering how it's $34 billion, it's because it was 4 years. That's how it was $34 billion. It wasn't $34 billion in 1 year. It was $34 billion in 4 years. So it's that simple. So, so then you just go from there. You just go to, at that point, only thing else to talk about is percentages at that point. See what I'm saying? That's simple. So, yeah, real simple. And at just 1%, you 300 million. At just 1%. So that's 300 million. That's as bad as it can get. It can't go below 1. See what I'm saying? So, So so I'm gonna keep this video short. So Sammy, you could see, right? Just 1% of me changes the game completely, right? Just 1% of me. Just 1% of that money changes the game completely, right? Sammy, you see that, right? Just at 1%. That's as bad as it can get. See what I'm saying? That's saying I can't bend no further, basically. You see what I'm saying? 1% is basically saying I can't bend no further. Yeah. I got a bend but don't break defense. I can't bend no further than 1%. See what I'm saying? You gotta have some kind of defense. I got a bend but don't break defense. Yeah. I can't bend no further than 1%. That's 300 million. So So they gotta find out if they could deal with you at 1% before they could really talk, right? You gotta be like, let's find out if we can handle 1% of him. That's what you gotta tell them. That's what you gotta tell them. Let's find out if we can handle 1% of him before we can ever think about handling him at 100%. That's what you gotta tell them to stop the king. That's what you really gotta tell them, Sammy. That's what you seriously gotta tell them, to stop the king. Let's see if we can handle this nigga at 1% of him, let alone trying to handle him at 100% of him. Let's see if we can fuck with him at 1%. That's what you literally gotta tell him about the king, about the real king. See what I'm saying? Sammy, these are facts. This is not an opinion. This is a fact. You heard? So, somebody go ahead and cut this video off. I'm going to keep this one short.